Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna have to brute force my way through this. We're going left this time, instead of right. Crammed with treasures. All laced with arsenic, of course, but what else would you expect of the Grail of Thistlin? Not as dangerous as what we're looking for, naturally, but its body count is certainly among the hundreds. Maybe don't examine it too carefully then, Duke. I still hardly know what we're looking for, and I'll be stuck here if some cup kills you. So kind of you to be concerned for me, detective. My heart truly melts at your empathy. And I open my mouth to, I don't know, refute that? We make our way towards the next car, and I open my mouth to, I don't know, refute that? Agree? But before I can say a word, the floor depresses under my step, and Rita has made me watch enough adventure streams for you to know what that meant. Duke, run now! Duke followed my orders instantly, like he'd known me forever, like he knew he could trust my word, and sprinted through the exit just in time for it to close in my face. Juno! Duke slammed his shoulder into the door, and under the noise I heard it, the distinct hiss of gas filling the room. Duke, get me out of here. Get away from the door. Give me just one moment. I heard the distinct hum of a plasma cutter starting on the other side. It would take a few minutes to cut through the solid metal of the door. I brought my shirt collar to cover my mouth and cleared the door frame. I couldn't smell anything yet, which scared me even more. I could see my side of the door starting to glow as the plasma cutter passed through the activation panel, making it sputter and spark and stay closed. The electronics wouldn't budge, but if the locking system was mechanical... Duke, the lock! I only realized how much I'd already inhaled of the gas when I tried to speak. It came out croaky and weak. I coughed up a lung and a half from the effort of it. I know, Juno. Just hang on. I looked around for a switch, a lever, anything that would shut off the invisible toxin invading my lungs, but my vision blurred together into a slideshow of treasure after useless treasure. I fell against a wall, and my swimming head tipped uselessly around like a rag doll's. I felt a distant sense of panic, that I should be doing something, anything. I woke up to hands on my face, pushing back my hair and two fingers pressed against my neck. Warm hands, soft as silk. I looked up through my eyelashes at a blurry but perfectly symmetrical face. Hello? Juno! Oh, thank goodness, your heart rate was so low I couldn't tell for a... Juno, why are your hands on my face? So only fair. And you're soft. Hair's real soft, but you lose a lot of coconut oil to get hair that soft. All right, Juno, let's just rest for a moment. There was a soft, relieved smile on his face, and he gently batted my hand away from a probably priceless vase I didn't realize I was messing with from my seat against the wall. Deep breaths, Juno. Now, what was it you were saying about my hair? Real soft. Wish I had hair that soft. Rita let me a silk cap to sleep in, but I look real stupid. But my hair looks real good. My dad so broke into my apartment and I got all singed from the blasters, and Rita won't let me borrow her stuff anymore. I'm sure it looked lovely, Juno. You look lovely. My hand was in his hair again, and he laughed a little and held my wrist away from where it was messing up his perfect coif. I have a feeling you're not going to mean quite as much when you're feeling better. I feel fine. And you're fine. Yes, dear. Now, stay here for a moment while I check that there are no more traps ahead for you to step on. I frowned at him and let my eyes flutter close as he wandered around the train car, taking deep breaths like he said. Inhale, exhale. Slowly, my brain slid back into focus, and I got to my feet, steadying myself against the wall. Careful, Juno. Easy does it. His arm was around my waist, supporting my shaking legs. I'm okay. Feeling a little more yourself, I presume. Oh, God, what did I say? Nothing at all, dear. Just remind me to buy you a new silk cap when we're off this train. Now, if you're up for it, I believe I've found what we're looking for. It only took a few more cars before I found the weapon. I could tell as soon as we entered the room Duke had seen it. Fast. Sorry, I've seen this bit before. Juno, you're a spectacular. Yes, my incredible fake husband. Later I woke up in my bed, only since the Duke was the tux I was still wearing, sand shoes, ever the gentleman. Only to frown at a strange feeling on my head, I reached up to find a silk cap. I smiled to myself as I rolled over, only to frown at a strange feeling on my head. I reached up to find a silk cap, the nice kind, too, and couldn't help but laugh. Mr. Steele? Mm. I got something to show ya! Not exactly. But if it did, it'd be like the one movie where the heroine gets kidnapped by rabbits because her date secretly had a psychic link with them, and he was real mad because she catfished him pretending to be her twin sister, and so the worst thing that could happen is that I'm kidnapped by rabbits pretending to be anyway. If I try the app, will you stop worrying? For sure, boss. If my liver gets stolen, I'm blaming you. We did something with my comms that was lost on me, but it brought me to the app's obnoxious home screen. I got your profile almost set up. I figured you wouldn't want to bother with all that stuff. An older one from a club or something. That was the best hair day I'd ever had, full stop. The top was more see-through than I usually go for, but hey, that was the whole point of this app, right? That's a real nice picture, boss. I'm sure it'll attract a lot of folks. You to help me unload the photo. That's enough of that. Well, thank you, detective. I certainly try and keep things that way. Wow, you two seem to be getting on nicely, so I'll leave you to it. You got it. So she put me up to this. Seems like you're very thoughtful friends, detective. Thoughtful is a generous word for it. All the same, it has brought us to this conversation. Yeah, I guess we have heard a link for that. So what brings you here, then? No, I'm not so different for yourself and my reasons. I'm gonna skip this again. You, on the other hand. On the contrary, detective, there's a great deal I'd like to know. Right back at you. Why are you being so vague, anyway? I'm afraid I'm not the type to volunteer personal information right away. I've had some poor experiences with it in the past. Yeah, well, you're not the only one. Oh, my apologies, detective. My intention was not to pry or investigate you. I am simply curious. I'm in the same position. You're not being interrogated or anything. I just want to know more. Ah, a pitfall of our profession, perhaps. I don't mind sharing a little if you really want to know. Perseus was confusing. He was strange. Please enlighten me. I got the Prince of Mars out of tight spot once. He gives great recommendation letters. Valis Vicky owes me a couple favors, but I owe her a few more than that, which is maybe the most terrifying story I have. Oh, I saved Cecil Kanagawa from a bunch of mobsters once. Well, I saved most of Cecil Kanagawa from a bunch of mobsters once. Most? I made a vague gesture with my arm before realizing Shaw couldn't see it. I then spent enough time contemplating my own idiocy that another ding sounded from comms. Much of that hits quite close to home for me. Certainly. Some time ago, I chased the thief Jet Sakuliak across the desert in pursuit of his stolen goods, among which was the Ruby 7. It was, I admit that much, but I'm so drawn to this path, detective, regardless of where it takes me. I suppose I must have a sense of righteousness in me, something urging me to do good and catch the criminals who act contrary to that goal. Okay, thief. That's pretty admirable, Detective Shaw. Not sure my own reasons are so morally sound. Communications carries on. I'm looking forward to it too. I may be exploring some of those skills you've mentioned. I assure you that I never disappoint, Detective. I'll hold you to that, Shaw. Until we meet again, Detective. See you Friday. Signed off, trying not to blush too much. I was 38 years old, a hardened detective. No one should be able to fluster me. I realized I was smiling. Damn it. Boss, I'm back. Duke Rose. I want the Duke storyline completely filled out. Come on, Mr. Oh, wait, hold on. Back? Fuck. Well. Come on, Steele, let's go. We're out of snacks. I don't know any of these taste like, so original's fine, I guess. Man, if they were puffs, what could go wrong? Cheese curls. I've done both, doesn't matter. I'm never gonna pick anything else. Back. Oh. Duh. Alright. Oh, wait, really? Okay. Go now. I'll be there in 5. What was it? Way more fun than I thought. Glad you're enjoying yourself. Walked over the dance floor and whoa. Quite a sight, isn't it, Juno? Yeah. I was too drunk. Yeah, never really got to take it all in until now. Back when my brother. I was too drunk to see how beautiful this place really was. Your brother? Oh, sorry, his voice is higher. Your brother? He was a dancer. Would have loved this place. I'm sure he would have. Where to now? Well, it's up to you, Juno. What would you like to do? Oh, I've already done dancing, so I'm gonna take a walk. All these lights are starting to give me a headache. Of course, Juno. Follow me. Whoa. Beautiful, isn't it? Hyperion City is truly something else. And he basked in it. Oops, let me go back. It really was beautiful. Floating mansions, cars zooming past faster than I could blink, neon lights dotting every corner. Juno? And he basked in it, haloed in the lights. Yeah? Anything on your mind? A lot, I guess. Haven't really been here in a while. Do you want to talk about it? I hit a rough patch a while back and went here. Beautiful people all around, 5-star drinks and service. Who wouldn't say no? Not me. Rough patch? Yeah. Bad breakup. Oh, I'm so sorry, Juno. It's fine, it was a long time ago. Just not a nice time to remember. I understand. Memories are not always a happy load to carry. Got some of your own? Someone lied to me. I try not to think about it. Some things are better left buried. Yeah. My, this is quite an atmosphere we've created. We should probably keep it lighter next time. Every conversation with you feels like I'm floating on air, Juno. I'm not sure it could ever get any lighter than that. Then we should probably have more, yeah? Gladly. We talked for a while. It was nice. Everything with him was easy, like he was familiar to me, like I'd known him before. Sorry we couldn't have that dance you wanted. No worries, Juno. I got to spend time with you after all. Oh, it's getting pretty late, isn't it? Yeah. Would you allow me to take my lady home? What kind of gentleman would you be if you didn't? Not a good one. He took me home, and we talked the entire time. It felt good. I was sad to see him go, but I felt better when I realized I would see him again. Of course I'm going with Duke again. I think he's cute. Boss! Yeah, Rita, don't scare me like that. Oh, hold on, I've actually done all of this before. Where Rita usually sits. Skip. It was really good. There I was. This was the place Duke wanted us to meet up. Something about keeping up appearances and all that. I could only wonder what that meant in the middle of everything else about him. Yoo-hoo! Dahlia, dearest. Dreadfully sorry about the wait, darling. I only wanted to pick up some of that nicer wine you're so fond of. The grocery stores around here are so dreadfully understocked. Duke grinned at me, looking like an overeager puppy, all bright eyes and jittery hands. To any outsider, he'd be the dictionary definition of a lovesick husband. To me, it looked like this was going to be a long day. It's just the most gorgeous day for a picnic, isn't it, Dahlia? And just like that, the game is on. Play along. It's perfect weather, darling. I wouldn't expect anything less for us. But of course, though the weather is nothing in comparison to your stunning face, Dahlia. Flatterer. Well, that's not what Juno's voice is. Flatterer. Naturally. Duke looked at me, and for a second that unassuming love sickness slid off. I swear there was something familiar in those eyes. Something that made me squirm a little, not that I was going to tell him that. I opened my mouth to comment, but... Oh, I appear to have been mistaken. Oh, no kidding. Well, I suppose that rather puts a damper on our plans. Quite literally. Did you just make a pun about this? I have no idea what you're insinuating, Dahlia dearest. Never mind. But you're right, this rain doesn't exactly scream romantic picnic weather. Oops. Well, I can hardly walk off and leave you in the cold. That would make me a rather poor husband, wouldn't you say? Ah, right. Well, we could always go somewhere drier. Where exactly were you thinking? There's always my, there's a PI that owes me a favor. I'm sure we could use his office. Logical as always, dearest. Got a better idea? Oh, no, by all means, Dahlia. That sounds absolutely wonderful. Lead the way. I pulled Duke under an overhang and started the journey to my office, keeping as dry as I could. Duke didn't seem to mind all that much. He kept that upbeat, almost airheaded attitude the whole time. I found myself getting used to it, honestly. He filled the walk with idle chatter until we reached the office. Here we are. So I see. Let's come in, Dahlia. I think I spared our picnic the worst of the rain. Sounds good. I think the rain is starting to dissolve my socks. I dumped the worst of the wet clothes by the door while Duke took in my office. Apparently satisfied, he turned and smirked at me. Hello, Juno. Hi, Duke? As much as I enjoy Dahlia, you are a marvelous mystery yourself, Juno Steele. I'm just what it says on the tin. Somehow I doubt that. Regardless, I was correct. Our picnic has been saved. If you would be a dear and help me set up. Sure, let me go grab some stuff. Oh no, all of these options are really good. Oh, I'll save this for future Cass. Okay. A centerpiece was always good, right? I snatched some flowers off of my desk. They were a gift from a client, not remotely poisoned or tapped. Trapped. This time, anyway. I walked back out and handed them to Duke. Here. Why, Juno! These are lovely. Just figured the picnic could use a little color or something. Married life might just be rubbing off on you, my dear. So, shall we? Works for me. I brought a marvelous selection. Wine, cheese, good bread, you name it. Can't say I'm surprised. No harm in being predictable. Predictable isn't exactly a word I'd use to describe you, Duke. No. No. That's splendid. In any case, we're dry and in good company, and this picnic isn't going to enjoy itself, Juno. I sat on the hastily spread blanket next to Duke, ignoring the food for a minute. There was a rare chance to chip at whatever mask Duke was wearing for the case. With a little prodding, I might be able to get some real answers out of him. So, Duke, what does a guy like you do for fun? For fun, detective? Yeah, like hobbies? Oh, well, I gamble, I suppose. Collect art, in a manner of speaking. Fashion, if one counts nice suits as a hobby. I collect art too, but I'm figuring not the way you do. Is that so? A lady needs things to do between murder cases, I guess. Naturally. There's a little gallery just outside of Olympus Mons that I must show you sometime. Remind me, will you? Sure, I look forward to it. I can't say I don't enjoy it, but why the sudden question, Juno? What? Can a lady make small talk? Well, of course he can. You just seem the type to do away with those trivial bits of conversation. You're interesting, Duke. I figured I'd take the time to get to know you. Seems common courtesy, job or otherwise. And it won't let me choose anything else, yeah. That is very kind of you. I gotta say, I am curious about you, about this whole fake married gig. I feel as though I've explained the stakes to you rather thoroughly already. I'm not entirely sure what else to say. I just don't... Why me? I'm not exactly the domestic type. What makes you say that, Juno? Yawn. If we're being real, Duke, marriage is one of those messy topics. Scares the hell out of me. One second you're filled with lovey-dovey bliss, and the next you're ready to claw each other's eyes out. Anything that permanent and yet totally impermanent spooks the hell out of someone like me. Scares the hell out of someone like me. Ah, my apologies, Juno. My intention was not to pry. No, it's fine. Better to clear the air. If you're uncomfortable in this role, No, it's not like that, Duke. I'm not going to quit on you. I think Dolly is good for me. Exposure therapy or something. In that case, I hope he and I can demonstrate the good side of marriage for you. You mean like suspicious heists? Perhaps. Well, the location may not be ideal, but I can promise the food is above expectation. Do help yourself, Juno. Oh, right. I'd gotten so caught up talking to Duke, I'd practically forgotten about the meal. Somehow, after everything, the actual picnic seemed like the least important part of all of this. I grabbed some food anyway. Duke was right, of course. It was the best thing I tasted in years. Duke, that was incredible. So are you. You've mentioned that. And I'll keep mentioning it. You're my husband, after all. I must make sure you're aware of how wonderful you are. Whatever you say, Duke. I found myself not wanting the afternoon to end, but sooner or later we ran out of wine, and the shadows in the office started to get longer. I could tell we were both running out of excuses to hang around, besides the ones that were too embarrassing to say just yet. At least for me. As much as it pains me, Juno, I think we ought to part ways. We have many adventures ahead of us. You've got a point there, Duke. I don't think I've just sat down like that in a couple of months. Such a hard-working detective. I knew I could count on you. Sure. Duke packed up the basket, shoving leftovers toward me, despite my complaints. Then he headed for the exit. He turned back and smiled at me, the rain casting his face in strange shadows through the open door. Something bubbled up within me, and I opened my mouth to say what was on my mind. Try and make a move. Boop. Duke? Yes, Juno. This was really, really fun. I hope we can do this again sometime. I feel the same. Hopefully next time there won't be rain. I'd love to look up at the sky with you, regardless of the bubble. Yeah, me too. Good night, Duke. Good night, Juno. Duke disappeared into the Martian rain, his smile the last thing to go. I sighed and grabbed my things. The office seemed a little emptier than normal, somehow. I caught my reflection in the window, blurred by the downpour. Maybe it should rain on Mars a little more. I am. Duke Rose all the way. All the way. We're going Duke Rose until bust, baby. Okay. It was time. Yes, I'm gonna skip this. You've got a call coming through. Tell him I'm not here. I'm not taking any calls today. Mr. Steele. Oh, wait, never mind. There it goes. Rita. Good morning, Junebug. Cecil's shining face lit up my screen, his hair a violent shade of turquoise. I felt my heart sink at the sight of him. For one thing, it was too goddamn early in the morning for him to be this cheerful. For another, any reason that Cecil Ganagawa had to be calling me was probably one that would leave me about a pint or two of blood lighter. What do you want, Cecil? Why, Junebug, aren't you happy to see me? Still honest, but more tight. Cecil, it's too early for this. What do you want? I thought you'd be more awake. I suppose I can just call you back. Just spit it out, Cecil. Well, I have an invitation for you, Juno. The Kanagawa family is going to be hosting a masquerade party this evening, and Mother was very clear that I was to make sure you come. Oops, I kicked something. Wait, Cecil, the party starts at 9, don't be late. Oh, and feel free to bring a date, Junebug, the more the merrier. And with that, he hung up. Great. Now I was stuck with an invitation that I really didn't want to accept, but was going to have to, and a spare ticket I didn't know how I was going to use. Mr. Steele, you've got another call coming in. I'm just going to go ahead and patch it through, okay? Wait, Rita. Oh, good morning, Dahlia dearest. There he was, Duke Rose, my, quote, husband, unquote. He grinned at me from the other side of the screen like an overexcited puppy. I can't say I wasn't at least a little bit happy to see him. Duke, why are you calling me here? What's the matter? Can't a man call his spouse just to say hello? There's no one around, Duke. You don't have to keep up the act. Well, in that case, hello, Juno. Hi, Duke. Ask him why he called. Wait, Duke, why are you calling me? Well, it's been so long since I last saw you. It's literally only been that I thought I would call and ask what you were doing tonight. I'd like to take you somewhere nice, Juno darling, if you aren't busy. Actually, I do have something going on tonight. Oh, I just got an invitation to a party that I can't refuse, but I am allowed to bring a date. Duke, would you like to go with me? Oh, yes, Juno, I would love to. One condition, though. We aren't going as Duke and Dahlia. These people know me as Juno Steele, so anything else would just draw more attention. But of course, whatever you say, darling. Shall I pick you up at 8? Don't call me darling. See you tonight. Oh, June. Oh, God, what is he wearing? Hello, sir. Sooner than I would have liked, it was time for the party. Duke picked me up and we arrived together, making our way past the grim-faced Kanagawa cousins. Duke looked around, apparently awed by the opulence, making vaguely inane comments about the art and the quality of the furnishings. Oh, God, I don't like that outfit. Oh my, these people are also big. And is it just me, or do they all... Yeah, they all look the same. Kanagawa's, every last one of them. They like to keep their business strictly a family affair. Huh. Seems like Min is trying to keep things organized tonight. All the snacks are laid out in there, and it looks like the dance floor is this way? Where do you want to spend the night, Duke? I'll leave that up to you, darling. You know these people better than me, after all. Dance time. We may as well put those dance lessons to good use. Besides, I feel like dancing tonight. The room was sparkling, the floor as well as the dancers. It was the kind of beautiful thing that hurt to look at after a while, all sharp and brilliant. This is breathtaking! The way the light sparkles off of everything. It's simply... Whatever else Duke had been about to say was lost as Cecil appeared, scaring the crap out of me and interrupting Duke. Oh, Juno! I'm so happy you came tonight, Junebug. Oh, who is your friend? I don't believe we've had the pleasure. Call Duke your boyfriend. This is Duke Rose. He's my boyfriend. Boyfriend? Oh my God, he's so excited. Boyfriend? Junebug, you should have said. I just said. Juno, that's wonderful. The two of you are so photogenic. I have to get you in one of my streams. Oh, wait, what? Well, as flattering as that offer is, I'm afraid I have to decline. I have terrible stage fright, you see. Oh, no, how dreadful. Alas, it is a curse I have learned to live with. Oh, my God. Well, I'll leave you two lovebirds to it. See you around, Junebug. And just like that, Cecil was gone as quickly as he had arrived. I turned to look at Duke, ready to apologize, but he was smirking at me. It wasn't an unpleasant feeling. Anyway. What? You called me your boyfriend. Oh no! Roll back? Huh? You called me your boyfriend. Huh. Okay? I've hit a dead end. Okay, well, whatever it is, I missed it. You called me your boyfriend. Yeah. Alright. Okay, well, that means 2 slides I missed there, but whatever. Thanks, Duke. The dance floor was surprisingly empty, but the few couples out there were dancing to a remix of a new synth-pop song. Duke raised his eyebrows at me and offered me his arm. Shall we dance? Salsa waltz the electric slide. Let's put those lessons to good use, shall we? Duke smiled winningly at me, and I let him take the lead. I could feel the heat of his hand on my waist through the fabric of my dress, and I could feel myself flushing at his closeness. Have I told you how lovely you look tonight, darling? You guys can't hear it, but there's like a waltz music playing, so I'm sort of dancing to it. You don't look too bad yourself. We both fell quiet as the dancers continued whirling around the room. The silence stretched on a little too long, and I started getting nervous. Hey, Duke, yes, Juno. Thank you for coming with me. Anything for you, darling. No, really, it means a lot that you came with me. Thank you. Oh, and I really do mean it, Juno. I'm happy that I could do this for you. The music finally paused for a minute, and Duke and I made our way over to the exit again. Well, that was quite an adventure. Yeah, the dancing was nice. I must say, I have really enjoyed myself so far. What about you, Juno? Have you enjoyed the party? I suppose. I can't say that I would have enjoyed the party by itself, but having you along, it's been really nice spending time with you, Duke. Why, Juno! Thank you for inviting me, darling. It means a lot that you would want me here with you. Yeah. I looked at him and my face felt warm. I could feel my heart racing, and I saw his eyes flick down to my lips and then back up to meet my gaze. I started to lean in, but then Duke glanced over my shoulder and visibly paled. I started to turn and look behind me, but he grabbed my arm with a surprising amount of force. Wait! Duke, ow, what the hell? He composed himself again almost immediately, relaxing his grip and flashing me a grin. It's nothing, darling. I apologize. Would you like some punch? Sure, I guess, but why? Then I'll go and get some punch. Goodbye, Juno, darling. I'll be right back. He walked quickly away before I could say anything else. I watched him cross to the punch bowl and scoop up 2 cups, but then he paused before coming back. A tall figure in a dark coat had stopped near him, and they seemed to be engrossed in conversation. Duke was too far away for me to read his expression clearly, but his posture seemed too tense for it to be a casual conversation. It also struck me that I knew Duke's body language well enough to tell when something was wrong. There you are, Juno. Your punch, as requested. Duke, who were you talking to? What? Why, I don't know what you're talking about, Juno. I simply walked over to get punch and then came back to you. I almost would have believed him, but I had seen him, which meant that he was lying about it. He was an excellent liar, which made me uneasy. What did he have to hide? Don't lie to me, Duke. I don't appreciate it. His face fell, and I glimpsed something hard in his eyes. What was he hiding? Juno, darling, this really doesn't concern you. Like hell it doesn't. Hush, people are staring. Let them stare, I don't care. Well, I do. Will you agree to stop yelling and making so much of a ruckus if I tell you? Fine. That was an employee of one of my former, let's say, clients. They wanted to discuss our mutual acquaintance, and I couldn't escape the conversation. Does that satisfy your curiosity? I suppose. It didn't, not really, but I could tell that I wasn't going to get any more out of Duke about it tonight. He still wasn't telling me everything. We left the party shortly after. Duke walked me to my door, and we stood facing each other for a bit. I know I said this earlier, but thank you for coming with me. I haven't had someone who would do that for me for, well, a long time. Oh, Juno. I had a really nice time tonight, and, well, I'm glad that we won as Juno and Duke, not pretending to be Dahlia. If I'm gonna be with you, I want to be with you as myself. Is that okay? Oh! I'm glad you told me this, Juno, and yes, I would be just Duke and Juno with you. Anything for you. I felt myself flushing under his gaze again. I also suddenly realized that we'd been standing on my front stairs for 5 minutes now, and I should probably say goodbye before things got awkward. The moving towards each other are really weird. Duke really was very close enough that I could almost feel his breath on my face. Duke, Juno. I don't know who moved first, whether I leaned forward or he leaned down, but one moment I was watching his eyes, dark behind his glasses, and the next he was kissing me. Oh, that's cute. It was nice. Hell, it was more than nice. It was amazing. His lips were warm and soft against mine. I gasped without meaning to and felt his mouth curve into a smile. It felt like the kiss lasted for forever, but also only for seconds at the same time. Duke, do you want to come do you want to come in? Alas, Juno darling, I've other matters that I must attend to tonight. I will see you again very soon, though. All right. Good night, Duke. Good night, Juno. I went inside and watched him walk away for an embarrassingly long amount of time. Even with whatever Duke Rose was hiding from me, I had to admit that I was falling for him, and fast. I couldn't make myself trust him completely yet, but being with him, that seemed worth a few secrets. Juno! Oh! Hey, Duke. Did I catch you at a bad time? Just getting back to the office, actually. Client meeting. My comms were off, if you were wondering. How professional. May I walk with you? Uh, sure. Don't see why not. Duke took my arm, and as we went the last few blocks to my office, he talked the whole way, filling my silence with every idle thought in his head. He was nervous. I could guess why. Look, I'd never claimed to be good at the whole relationship thing. A lady seeing his beau acting all evasive and sketchy like that, he's allowed to freak out a little, I think. Dodging his text was a dick move, though. Juno, darling, you seem 1,000 miles away. Just thinking. Cred for your thoughts? You really dropped the whole Dahlia thing, huh? Of course. As much as Dahlia was a wonderful partner, I do think I prefer the great Detective Steele himself. My partner in crime need not be a criminal, after all. And besides, it's what you wanted. Yeah, I guess. I think maybe... Duh, forget it. What is it, Juno? It's nothing, okay? Let's just head inside. We got to the office shortly after that. I reached for the door to let Duke in when something occurred to me. What were you doing anyway? Just wandering around the streets looking for me? Uh, well, I wanted to speak to you. I felt perhaps we left things a little heated last time. There was no answer at your office, so I assumed you'd be out. It was just luck that I happened to find you. Wait, what? I know! What a marvelous coincidence! Yeah, marvelous. What do you mean there was no answer? Well, I had called by the office, but Rita didn't answer, so... I braced myself for whatever mess was waiting for us inside, singed carpets, blanket fort under my desk, or something I hadn't seen before. But what we found when we got up to my office was nothing. Not even my secretary. If Miss Rita has gone home for today, then perhaps we can talk. Hold on, Rita wouldn't just leave. I mean, she wasn't exactly committed to her job, but she'd installed enough screams in the office that she never had to miss a stream during work hours. And right now it would be about a third of the way through Mermaids of Neptune on Ice, and I can't believe I know that, but nothing can tear her away from that. But you wouldn't have missed the comms earlier. She had the whole office wired up so she could watch streams, let in clients, put through calls, and pester me all at once. I don't see her here, Juno. I don't think... Oh. Oh no. What is it? She's not here, Juno, but I think I know where she is. I'm so sorry. I never meant for Miss Rita to get caught up in this. I don't know how they would have even found out about her, but it seems we now find ourselves in a rather awful situation. He handed me a note from Rita's desk. At the top was Rita's scrawled theories about the latest fantasy romance stream she's been watching, and various doodles. Marked across the bottom in thick, angry letters was a short message, but it was enough to make my skin crawl and my hands shake. With anger or fear, I wasn't sure. Return what your associate stole, Juno Steele. Bring it to me before the day's end. I may even let her live. Who wrote this, Duke? Who took Rita, and how are we going to make them pay? It's not that simple, I'm afraid. Why the hell not? Because she's just as ruthless as a Uranian storm eel. She takes what she wants and leaves nothing but dust in her wake. Rest assured, it is unlikely she would hurt you physically. She has plenty of her assistants for that. No, she will ruin you, prod and poke and tear your life apart so thoroughly you won't notice until it's too late. That is what she would do to you, Juno, to both of us. She? Miasma, my former employer. Keep talking. She hired me to acquire artifacts that she couldn't get herself. And truly, there is very little she cannot get herself. For an academic, she has a terrifying amount of power. What does she want? Miasma is utterly obsessed with ancient Martians. I cannot fathom why. Too many bedtime fables about godlike alien beings, perhaps? I couldn't allow her to have the Egg of Pruis, Juno. Most would use it to ransom worlds, but there is not a doubt in my mind that she would have detonated it. I would not allow it. And as much as I hated myself for it, I knew I couldn't have let her have that weapon either. Even knowing how this dance ended. God damn it, I'd do it again. Duke, what the hell do we do? The egg is gone, Juno. I had it destroyed. We couldn't hand it over to her even if we wanted to. Oh, good. Great. We can just go right up to her and say, well, sorry your evil egg bomb is gone. Guess we just have to call this whole hostage thing off. She'll probably just hand Rita over and apologize for the misunderstanding. We'll laugh about it over dinner because the image you've painted of her so far is just rainbows and sunshine and goddamn double rainbows. Yes, I don't suspect that will be the case. You think? What are you doing? Getting out my keys. If we're to have any hope of getting your secretary back, it won't be in your death trap of a car. You can keep yelling at me on the way. The drive out to the desert meeting place was tense, to put it mildly. He went over every detail he knew. We went over dozens of plans. I went through every horrible scenario I could imagine Rita in. I was ready to crawl out of my skin. Juno, I'm sorry for all of this. Eyes on the road. Wouldn't want to die before we're killed. Right. We took a hard right at a rock shaped like a Mick's Aunt Rick and parked behind a dune. Have you settled on a plan, detective? I'll walk in and distract them. You sneak around and start picking off goods. If Rita's there, you grab her and start running. Got it? That will be incredibly dangerous for you, Juno. If you wanted safe, you should have stayed at home, Duke. I'm doing this. Can I count on you or not? Of course you can. Shall we? He started to move out of the car away from me, and I grabbed his hand. I'm not even sure I meant to. It was just a reflex. He didn't turn around, but he also didn't pull away. Juno? Just be careful. You too. Oh, are we going to see Miasma? And then I let go of him, and I stepped out of the car to get into position. I heard Duke's door open and close behind me. Juno, wait, Oh no. Look, darling, we have company. Before I could turn around, big masked thugs stood up out of the sand and pointed blasters at me. They cuffed us both and walked us over to a large shielded tent sitting in the shadow of a dune. I finally got a look at the boogeyman who'd been haunting me without so much as letting me know she was there. Juno Steel, thief, where is my weapon? There was something under her gaze. Duke had been right on the money. Her eyes were glassy and hard, and as she glared at us, I could see her figuring out the fastest way to crumple us up and toss us out like used tissue. Her stare belonged to some monstrous creature hidden in the void between stars, something no human had ever dared laid icy eyes on, and sure wouldn't last long if they did. So I did what usually got me into trouble when I was scared. I opened my big mouth. Where's my goddamn secretary? Somewhere she can't give me a migraine with her nattering. Where is my weapon? No. You can't just skip around that question. Where is she? We're not going to give you a goddamn thing until I know she's all right. You got that? You are in no position to be bargaining, Juno Steel. I can go straight through you to get what I want. You are all but a means to my end. And if I don't see Rita in the next minute, that means I'll end you right now. Empty threats won't serve you well here, I can assure you. Neither you nor your aggravating secretary are of any consequence to me, and are even less of a threat. She waved her hand, and one of the big hulking brutes that had grabbed us left the tent. They re-entered with Rita, pulling her along with one massive hand clamped around her arm. She was gagged, with her hands tied out in front of her, but that didn't stop her putting up a fight. Rita, are you okay? I can't. Nod once for yes, Rita. Rita began frantically nodding, her eyes wide. We hadn't set up a code for what 17 nods in 7 seconds meant, but I was going to assume that was good. She looked scared as hell, but from the determined look in her eyes, she hadn't given up just yet. Release her, Miasma. There's no egg. It's gone. Destroyed. Destroyed? Even if our petty technology could hold it. Hold on, that's not her voice. Even if our petty technology could hold a candle to that of the true Martians, no one would give up that kind of power. Don't be a fool. They would to keep it away from megalomaniacs who go around kidnapping secretaries like you. So you just rushed in here to beg my mercy? Pathetic. And you, thief, what was your plan? Throw the detective at me as a distraction while you fled my wrath? An attempt as foolish as your feeble lies. I will have what I want. Now who's feeble, Miasma? Attempting to turn us on each other is the oldest trick in the book. Juno knows better than that. You were foolish to trust this thief, Juno Steel. Do you even know what he is? Who he is? I thought I did. The parts that mattered, anyway. This whole week, relationship, whatever, might have just been on a scam, but damn it, I trusted him, okay? As much as it felt strange to admit, I did. I trusted Duke Rose. And maybe even the man under his mask, too. Well, What's it matter, Miasma? I trust him enough to know that we're both gonna kick your ass. You trust this man, Juno Steel? I've been watching both of you, and you barely know what he's done this week, let alone who he is. What do you mean? Miasma, stop this. We don't have what you want. Your lies aren't going to save you this time, thief, and I doubt your dear detective will either. Since you seem to be so determined, come, let's test your original hypothesis, shall we? Does Juno Steel know this man, and should he be trusted? What are you talking about? Miasma ignored me and pulled a small remote from her pocket, heading towards a machine I hadn't noticed before, something as ancient and twisted as she was. She fiddled with some switches, red light seeping from between the tendrils of the artifact. Answer me, god damn it! You will find the answer for yourself soon enough, Juno Steel. And I should hope you have the answer I seek also, for the sake of your rather irritating friend. She pressed a button on the remote in her hand, and I could hear the machine whirring to life. She smiled then, and it made me sick. The scene around us faded out as a migraine started in my skull until all I could see was Miasma's awful smile. She clicked her fingers. And then I woke up. The desert, Miasma, the goons shoving blasters in my spine, all fading away like a nightmare. 'Cause that's all it was now, a leftover nightmare. That was a while ago. Weeks, or maybe days. Left me with a killer headache, though. I went for a glass of water or coffee or anything, really, as long as it got the god-awful taste of sand out of my mouth. And then I should call Rita, to let her know I was late, that's all. She didn't need me checking in on her after every bad dream. That's my problem, not... Hello, dearest. Feeling better after your nap? Duke? What are you doing in my apartment? What do you mean, Juno? Are you feeling all right? And then I remembered, all at once. Duke had broken free from his restraints and charged Miasma's goons. She'd disappeared into the desert, gone for good. We'd come back to Hyperion together, and we were giving us, a chance. And as I was trying to think, my headache suddenly amped up, splitting pain cutting through my skull. Ah! Oh, Juno, dearest, we really should take you to a clinic, but a better one this time. Miasma's goons really did a number on your poor head. Quit fussing, I'm fine. Just didn't sleep much last night, that's all. Well, if you're sure, then how about we go out for lunch? I'm positively famished. That would be nice. Fantastic! We arrived at the restaurant in record time, not a bit of traffic on the usually busy skyways of Hyperion. Oh, this is totally a dream, isn't it? Oh no. Duke had remained chipper the whole drive there, filling the silence with light-hearted chatter and meaningless anecdotes. We parked alongside the restaurant, and Duke rushed around the side of the car to open my door for me. You're still playing the gentleman, eh, Duke? Well, of course. I must make you comfortable, Juno. We simply wouldn't get anywhere otherwise. It's a weird way of putting it. What the heck does that mean? Just that you are very clearly in pain still, my dear. However much you insist that you don't need a clinic, we must make you comfortable if you are to feel well again. Right. Perhaps some food would help you, darling. I know that when I'm hungry, I simply cannot think. Come, let's get you something to eat. I simply adore this place, darling. Let's find us a nice table where we can really get to talking. He took my hand and pulled me right past the hostess stand, and I just let him. Between my aching head and his warm grip, I was having trouble concentrating on anything. Hell, it felt like we were the only people in the restaurant. Duke pulled my chair out for me, a ridiculous grin plastered on his face, and I tried to pull myself together. Why don't we start with what you remember, my dear? It must be all so hazy for you, but I do so love to reminisce on our past adventures. Maybe we can order first? I really don't feel great. Of course. Waiter. Yes. What'll you have, Juno? The waiter seemed to appear out of nowhere and handed me a menu. But my vision was swimming. I couldn't read most of the options. I took a random shot in the dark. Always likely to hit something that way, though not necessarily what you'd want to hit. I'll take the noodles. You mean the lo mein, or... Yep, those. Thanks. The bomb mine for myself, thank you. Our food arrived in no time at all. I was so out of it I didn't even notice picking up my fork and digging in. Duke was in a great mood, though, kept smiling at me over his bowl. Feeling better, darling? Sure. You seemed surprised by my presence this morning, dearest. If I may ask, what's the last thing you remember? Everything was dark and hazy. I couldn't catch any details as I tried to think back. The pressure in my head just got worse the more I thought about it. I remember miasma in the desert, and then rubbing at my head was a mistake because Duke immediately looked worried and then tried to cover it up. He took my other hand in his and squeezed just a bit too hard. Enough of that horrid affair. Do you remember our first date, at least? Wasn't much of a date, Duke. No, but there is something romantic about driving off into the sunset with our prize, thwarting a villainous academic in the process. Do you recall what happened after? Yeah, you driving off into the sunset to turn up out of the blue again. Yeah, you driving off into the sunset to turn up out of the blue again after. I meant specifics, darling. I'm still worried about your little head. Oh yeah, you called in a favor with your old friend Captain Cancer and he smuggled the egg off World for us. Real nice guy, that captain. Kinda crabby, though. Yes, of course. Duke. Yes, dear. Oh, Captain Cancer is from that children's cartoon. You were being funny. And Duke was being suspicious. Even if he hadn't grown up on those shows, he should know that that wasn't what happened. I suppose I'm a little tired myself. Duke glowered into his food, stirring it around but not taking any more. Eventually he sighed and looked up at me. I'm sorry, darling. We are meant to be having a nice lunch together. Dessert? I'm kinda... Here you go. The waiter swept in faster than any service worker ever has, grabbed our plates, and dropped a bowl of something pink and smelling of strawberries. Duke took the spoon and held it out for me. Try this, darling. He was being weird again. Duke rose with a lot of things, but I'd never seen him that cranky before. Usually I was the brat in the relationship. I could handle the taste of my own medicine, but there was something more than just Duke's pansies and a twist here. I promise you, darling, it's quite good. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Hey, how are you doing after that whole miasma mess? I mean, she was basically no threat at all in the end, but hey, that toy of hers really seemed to do a number on me. She was difficult enough, but I'm quite fine. More than fine, really. That debacle was weeks ago, and we've been together since. I could not be happier. Yeah, but I've had enough lunch, haven't you? Wait, how did we get here? We drove, of course. Did we? I tried to think back, but it was just blank. Like 1 minute we were in the restaurant, and the next we were just here, inside my office. But that couldn't be right. I turned to Duke to ask him to take me to the clinic already, but he was busy tearing apart my desk. Are you right there? Left something here, darling. Something rather important. I have to find it. Here? It is important, Juno. This felt like I'd only get in his frenzied way if I tried to help. Besides, I wanted to see something. As Duke tore his way through my bookshelf, I glanced at the files on my desk he'd put down. They should be about my latest case, but they weren't. This one is about printouts of pictures of... Was that Mick? At the zoo, he made me see some land shark for his birthday. But they didn't look like the pictures someone tailing you would take. Instead, they all looked like they were taken through my eyes. The papers in my outbox were a transcript of Rita's latest stream. Not the show itself, but her recap to me this morning, word for word. And in the bottom drawer, the one I usually kept locked was Ben 10. Pictures of him in recitals, the letters he wrote to me after I moved out. I looked up and met Duke's cold, hard gaze. What in the hell is all this? He turned away with a sneer and started tearing posters and notes off my walls. What the hell are you doing? That's how the memory palace works, Juno. The mind puts their deepest secrets in a safe place. Unless you are such an imbecile you can't even manage that. Where is my weapon? What did you do to me? Where is Duke? Tell me what he did with the egg of Purus. He destroyed it. I don't know how else to explain that to you, you psychopath. No one would just get rid of something that powerful, Juno Steel. You are even more naive than I thought. Yeah, well, he also didn't tell me how he got rid of it, so this, all one big waste of time. Congratulations. That was the wrong thing to say to her. She screamed, her image flickering like a busted old screen. The world around me shattered, and it felt like my mind went right with it. I was falling and being pulled apart and crushed all at once until reality came rushing back like a kick in the teeth. For a moment I couldn't breathe, and my whole head felt like it was going to burst. I wasn't sure what was more painful, the stabbing pain in my head or the world I'd just been dragged out of. Miasma's yelling wasn't helping much either. She looked almost as rotten as I felt. She clung to her machine with one hand, the other clutching her head as she knelt in the sand, drawing in ragged, angry breaths. Ugh! Where is it? Where? I gritted my teeth and tried to look around. She was angry, but she was also distracted, and so were her goons, unsure if they should leave us to help her. This might be our best opportunity to get out of this whole mess. If I could figure a way out, that was. We were still tied, unarmed, and stuck at blaster point. Juno? Duke? You okay? I have had infinitely better days, Detective, but I think I might just survive. He offered me a wry smile, but the haggard look behind his eyes told me he wasn't doing too well. You keep getting in my way. I will have what I want. If I have to twist it out of you and break your useless brains to do it. Great. Really looking forward to that. Assistant, help me up. The goon holding Rita left her to drag Miasma to her feet. She glared daggers through me, old eyes blazing with rays as she struggled to get her breath back. This might be our best chance, Duke. You got anything up your sleeves? I'm afraid I left my plasma cutter in my other coat, dearest. Damn it, I'd forgotten to replace mine too. My blaster was hanging off the belt at one of the assistants, but the chance of me getting a shot off was slim to none in our current situation. Duke's alarmingly large collection of knives sat abandoned in the sand near Miasma's machine, far out of reach. Think, Steel, what have you got? A pounding headache. What's the way out? Past Miasma and her assistants in the middle of an open desert with our hand tied? Wasn't looking very much like there was one. Our only route was more desert, but we wouldn't get very far. What's your chance of survival? Currently, well, the odds aren't looking great. We just needed a distraction, one moment for us to make a break for it. If we could just stun them both. Perhaps if they're already unconscious, they won't get in the way with their pathetic mind flailing. Wait, you can't just... There was a flash of blue light and I flinched, but I didn't feel anything. No volts tingling up my spine, no ozone in my nose. I was still standing. Duke was still standing, but Miasma and her assistants were crumpled to the floor still. And behind them, Rita was standing next to the Martian device, tied hands still at the control panel. She pulled down her gag and gave a shaky smile. I got him, boss. Yeah, you did. Duke picked his way out of the cuffs with something he had dug out of his pile of knives. Then he undid mine, fingers lingering against my wrist. He squeezed my hand, then left to take the weapons from the assistants. I moved to Rita, who stopped gnawing at her ropes long enough for me to untie her. She tackled me in a hug. Mr. Steele! Oh my gosh, boss, you ain't dead. Oh, that's such a relief. Are you okay? I thought for sure you was a goner, boss. You and Mr. Rose there just completely shut down when she pressed that remote thingy. What? It's true. You just weren't there no more, except you were making these awful scrunchy faces, like you were about to slip right off to the next PI agency in the sky, and I was thinking to myself, Rita, you can't let Mr. Steele die on you now. That just wouldn't be a good job well done, and you'd for sure not want me alone in your office forever, because then who would yell at me for getting salmon chips everywhere, and... Rita, just slow down. What happened? What happened to Miasma? But then you woke up, and I mean, you look like a wreck, but you're alive, ain't ya? Just about. And that nasty lady was looking awful, too, so I thought to myself that I should probably help you, and the nasty big man was super distracted with what was ever going on with the nasty, icky lady, so I just went over to that big machine there, and I saw pushing all the buttons she had, but instead of the little wobbly lever, I skipped the technical stuff. I'm too tired to pretend to listen. And it worked real well, way better than I would have thought it, too, but I guess that's on account of her being all real screwy from using that machine herself, and what does this thing do, anyways? It appears to be some sort of telepathic device, enabling the user to enter a mindscape. I think I read about this particular artifact, in fact. These gravings here closely resemble that of the Spire of Lethuthis, and ancient Martian stuff? It would certainly seem so. That's kind of creepy, Mr. Rose. I don't want to be messing with any Martian things. They're bound to be haunted, and not by regular ghosts either, but weird Martian ghosts. They probably have penises or proddy things, Oh, wait, what's this button do? Rita, don't. I know you're a technical savant, but let's not push it. You never let me have any fun, boss. It would seem to be functional enough as is. Look, we looked over to Miasma and her assistant, still crumpled on the floor, but now with matching pained expressions. Miasma was still out like a light, but mumbling to herself, continue the work. More soup. I will have what I want. I doubted they'd be waking up anytime soon. What would we do now, Mr. Steele? Dark matters are all up in this ancient Martian business. If anyone should have to sort it out, it's them. Besides, if I call it in with Sasha, she might get some sort of commendation or something, and I could do with her being on her good side. Well, good side's probably a stretch. Her less mad at me side, at least. Probably best not be here when they show up. I think I'm done with questioning for the day. Oh, Miasma's voice really did something on my esophagus. Ow. Certainly for the best, Detective. I'll retrieve the car and we can leave this place behind. Thanks. Duke walked off to where he'd left the car at their ambush before this whole thing went completely sideways. Leaving me and Rita with a pile of unconscious psychopaths. Damn, what a day. You all right, Mr. Steele? Really should be asking you that, Rita. You were the one that got kidnapped after all. A little shook up, boss, but nothing the brilliant Rita couldn't handle. You know, Rita, you did great back there. I honestly don't know what would have happened to us if you hadn't done what you did. I'm just glad you're okay. Oh, thanks, boss. I mean it. You really saved us. Thanks. Hold on, can you say that all again right here into my comms? Don't mind the little light, that just means it's recorded. Shut up. Duke pulled out beside the tent and called through the car window. Your chariot, dear. The ride back to Hyperion was more tense and more tired than the one out to the desert had been. I was with Rita in the back seat, letting her doze on my shoulder, meeting Duke's eyes in the rear view the one time I actually felt them on me. He almost looked like he wanted to say something, but he just swallowed and turned back to the road. And then we reached Rita's place. Duke got out and opened my door for us. I did a sweep of the street around us, keeping my blaster ready. Rita wasn't likely to be kidnapped between the sidewalk and her apartment, but for now I wasn't taking any chances. She went to unlock her building with my spare key, and I lingered by the door with the man who'd started all this. I'm gonna stay here with Rita tonight. She's still pretty shaken up. Oh, boss, I just got the prettiest nail polish. It'll look right on you. You know what I mean. Certainly. Shall I escort you in, Juno? No, I'm fine. I see. I suppose we still need to talk? At some point, I mean. For all that happened, we didn't really get the chance to, did we? And I want to. Talk to you, I mean. Yeah, we really should. Tomorrow? If you're still around, that is. I wouldn't just disappear on you, Juno. You have to believe that. Then I'll see you tomorrow, Rose. All right. Good night, Juno. I watched him drive away, and continued to watch even after his taillights had disappeared and the sun was setting over the dome. A beautiful day to face off against Duke's former boss, all things considered. The smell of his cologne still lingered, as did all the questions. The next day I might finally get some answers, but for now all I needed was sleep. Usually when I have a case that's about to crack, can't keep myself still. Miasma along the grimiest, obviously. I regret ever accepting that job, given what happened. But I never expected for you to quite capture me the way you did, Juno. Even now, the breath hitches in my chest. He leans in and my eyes flutter shut involuntarily. Then right at the last minute, he leans backwards, snatches the cushion from my grasp, and smacks me right in the side of the face. Ah, you thief! That's part of my job description, love. Yeah, about that. Have you decided to return to your law and order-filled life? I'm serious, Nureyev. All right, I'm listening. Where do we go from here? Okay, we've already read this stuff. Nap time. Oh, how much of the Perseus route did I do? Well, I guess I'm about to find out. All right, Hurt Perseus time. I know compliment his detective skills is the right one, but I'm going with Flirt. Say, Shaw, did anyone ever tell you you've got nice eyes? Oh, why thank you, Detective Steele. Your skills of observation are quite impressive. You're welcome? He was easily flattered, apparently. Good to know. His fixation on the whole detective thing was kind of weird, though. Shaw held the door open and gestured for me to go in first. After you, detective. Sounds good. They'll be ready in just a minute. A decaf macchiato? Is there something wrong with my choice, detective? No, it's fine. I do know how to tell when someone is lying to me, Detective Steele. I am a detective as well. As if I could forget that when you keep reminding me every 5 seconds. Never mind, it's nothing. Very well. Well, now that we have our drinks, where should we sit? Are you sure you want me to pick, Shaw? Go right ahead, detective. I trust your judgment. Casual thing. What did I do wrong? Oh, I don't remember which one was better. I'm trying to get a good ending here. Oh, that is an excellent question, detective. There's so much on the air right now, it can be hard to pick just one. Well, I have found myself enjoying the new Kanagawa stream, It's a Wonderful Knife, recently. Such a heartwarming tale, and of course you can't go wrong with the Colosseum series. I hear that in the new one they gave the lion a gun. I don't think I could believe what would happen after that. Hearing him talk about his favorite strings reminds me of Rita a bit, so excited and prone to rambling. Sean was kind of weird, but I found myself getting fond of the guy. And what about you, detective? Do you have a favorite stream? Oh, that one about the werewolves on the moon, but they're in love? Ah, yes. The Lives and Loves of Lunar Werewolves. A classic. I guess? An excellent choice, detective. Thanks, Shaw. So tell me, detective, do you do this sort of thing often? Well, actually, I haven't done... Wait! Oh. Awkward and sincere. Be sincere. Be sincere. Be sincere. Another day without a case. Rita had been running me ragged since Franny had been away, or so she said, so at least I was busy, but I couldn't help thinking about Good afternoon, Detective. Hey, Shaw, what's up? Have you heard of Polaris Park? As though I could possibly forget North Star Entertainment and their shitty franchises. Yeah, it's north of Uptown. I've passed by it. Well, my careful observations have led me to believe that they're having a sale on admissions. Would you like to accompany me? What? Why? Is it so surprising that I enjoy your company, Detective? No, that's not what I meant. Why Polaris Park? Well, they do call it the place that fun calls home. What's not to like? Plenty of things. Although, as much as I didn't care to admit it, I did kind of miss Shaw and all his confidence and charm. Even though our first date was so recent, I was still excited to see him again. Advocate for a different date location. Yeah, but an amusement park, shouldn't we go someplace more adult? Come now, Detective, don't you want your more childish fantasies to live freely from time to time? No. Fair enough. Though I do have another reason for my interest. Oh, I believe there will be some sleuthing to be done there. Were you hired to look into them? No, no, it's just a personal curiosity. I am a detective after all. What are you planning on investigating? Well, it's a corporation run by rich men. I'm sure there are plenty of horrible things they've done to push themselves to the top. How heroic. So, will you join me in taking down the bourgeoisie, Detective? Maybe have a bit of adolescent fun along the way? All right, I'll go. You've convinced me. Wonderful. I have a few errands to run, but I can pick you up in a few hours. Sounds great. See you then, Detective. Shaw was so weird. I couldn't exactly put my finger on why, but he definitely was. Doesn't mean I didn't like it, though. When we finally made it to the park, we got 4 tickets each. It was the cheapest plan, and neither Perseus and I, or nor I, were willing to spend any more creds than that. Well, Shaw, we're here. What's the plan? That's Detective Shaw to you, Detective. Fine, whatever. Are we going to try and investigate the place, or... On the contrary, Detective, we are going to go sleuthing for snacks, deduce our way through carnival games, and research each other's quirks and interests. So you mean do things that people who are dating do? Well, when you put it like that, it sounds considerably less fun and interesting. It is less fun and interesting. Cheer up, Detective. We won't be having any merriment with that attitude. Yay. That's the spirit. Now, where would you like to go first? Oh, haunted house! That's where the haunted house is. But I want to do face painting first. I don't know, over there? To the left of the carnival games were a few miscellaneous booths, namely, the face painting booth? I mean, we don't have to. No, no, it seems incredibly fun. I was simply surprised you choose that. Oh, yeah, well, I haven't had face paint since I was a kid. It seemed like a good place for nostalgia. Plus, we'll have disguises for expert sleuthing. Yeah, that. We made our way over to the face painting booth, me regretting my suggestion more and more with every step. Do you know what you want painted? Not quite yet. I'm thinking Martian Spider-Man, but we'll see. What are you thinking? You'll see. Shaw whispered what he wanted in the painter's ear and sat down while I flipped through my options in the book. I was a bit skeptical at first, but it does seem very fun. Good choice, Detective. Hush, Shaw, you'll mess up the paint. Finally, after about 5 minutes, the painter finished their final touches. Ta-da! A peacock? Do you not like it, Detective? No, no, of course I do. You look really cute. Get your shit together, Steel. I mean, because peacocks are so cute, and... Anyway, I decided what I'm gonna have painted. Oh, do tell. No, no, no. After I sat down, it was hard not to flinch when the painter touched my face with the brush. The paint was cold and wet, the tiniest bit sticky, but not enough to feel uncomfortable. The painter was adept, but you could tell they were bored. Each brushstroke, while done perfectly, was done without any sort of heart behind it. That's what Hyperion City does to a person, I guess. So, what do you think? Why, Detective Steele! It's lovely. Such wonderful colors. We looked at each other for what was probably much longer than necessary, with smiles wide enough to feel our face paint crack, just the tiniest bit. We thanked the painter for their time and headed out. Oh no, we only have... Okay, well... Haunted house is one, for sure. How about that haunted house over there? It seems fun. Oh! I didn't realize you were into that sort of thing. I've never been in one. It just Seems fun to get away from the demons of the real world and go see some fake ones inside. Yes, that does seem fun. Shaw, don't tell me you're scared. What? No, of course not. I'm a good enough detective to observe that everything inside a haunted house is completely fabricated. Right. Well, come on then. The haunted houses line was fairly long, and while we were waiting, I saw Shaw getting more and more fidgety. Was he really that scared of haunted houses, or is there something more going on? You all right, Shaw? Absolutely, detective. Just making sure I've properly observed my surroundings. For research. Oh, look at that. We're next. The doorway into the house itself was too narrow for two people to walk side by side, much to the dismay of Shaw. Ah, I have an idea. What's that? How about you go first, and I walk behind you? That way I can keep an eye on anything that may be sneaking up from behind. How brave of you. We crept into the house, Shaw so close he was breathing down my neck. Our first scene was a morgue, with half of the cold chambers either left ajar or hanging empty, their drawers scattered across the ground. The path around them led into the next room was obvious, and I was just about to keep walking when suddenly, ah! One of the bodies sat up and started clawing its way towards us. Go, go, go! Shaw pushed me into the next room with so much force I was nearly thrown off balance. The zombie actor stopped its pursuit as soon as we were out of the room, presumably to wait for the next group. The new room we entered wasn't any better, with strobe lights flickering so fast I could barely see. A girl in a tattered dress started creeping her way towards us, chanting, "Play with me," in a soft, high-pitched voice. "Play with me, play with me." No, thank you. We veered a sharp right to avoid the girl and headed into a dark room resembling a circus tent. Oh joy! Clowns. They're really pulling out all the stops on this one, aren't they? Juno, look out! A gloved clown hand came shooting out of a well-disguised hole in the wall, swiping at Shaw and I with fervor. Shaw flung his arms around me and nuzzled his face into my shoulders as I steered us away from the clown and into the last room. This one was dark, with hardly enough light to see by. It looked like an old, abandoned house with fake spiderwebs and tarp over the furniture to complete the look. There was a loud shrieking sound, and Shaw and I both whipped around to see a towering ghost with a melted face right before a bright flash went off. I grabbed Shaw's hand and led him to the light on the far side of the room, leading to a small gift shop with various merchandise, as well as a booth to buy the photo taken of you in the house. After Shaw regained his composure, we went to look at our picture. Good Lord, Shaw, you look terrified. No, I wasn't scared. Just a bit startled is all. Do you want to leave? Yes, please. 2 tickets left. I'm gonna save here so that I can do all of the other ones. Ferris. You ever been on a Ferris wheel, Shaw? As a matter of fact, I haven't. I'd love to investigate its mechanisms. It's a big wheel, Shaw. It just goes around. I knew that. When we reached the base of the Ferris wheel, I realized it was considerably taller than I first thought. Are you ready, detective? As I'll ever be. We got into the cabin, which, of course, had no seatbelts, and before we knew it, we were off. This is incredible! This mechanism allows you to view the entire park and beyond. I think that we climbed higher and higher, the cabin swinging from its momentum much more than I was comfortable with. Wouldn't you say, detective? Huh? Are you all right? Yeah, fine, just a little... Detective Steele, I detect a hint of apprehension in your voice. Don't tell me you're afraid of... No. Don't say it. I'm just not the biggest fan of heights is all. Well, I had discerned that on the walk over. Would you like me to hold you, detective? You may feel a bit better. Yeah, actually, that might help. Shaw wrapped his arms around me protectively. My heart rate didn't slow completely until we reached the ground again, but his touch made me feel secure. Like I belonged there, with him. So, how was your first Ferris wheel experience? Well, it certainly could have gone better had I assisted with your trepidation, but I suppose it certainly could have been worse. I hoped I helped, at least a little. Yeah, definitely did. Thank you, Shaw. It was my pleasure, detective. Just do me a favor and don't take me on one of those again. I'll keep it in mind. Tunnel of Love. How about over there? The Tunnel of Love? Why, Detective Steele, how forward. Yeah, come on. Maybe it'll be relaxing and I can actually enjoy myself. The Tunnel of Love was about as cliche as you could possibly get. The entrance and tunnel were both shaped like hearts, and the gondolas themselves were made to look like giant swans. You know, the weird two-headed things that were apparently prized for their beauty a few millennia ago. Ancient Earth creature was always so beyond me. Culture. After waiting in the relatively short line, we stepped into our boat and prepared for takeoff. It wasn't hard to see why they called it the Tunnel of Love. The bench was so narrow our thighs couldn't help but press together. I couldn't say I hated the feeling. And we're off! This ride seems almost agonizingly slow, eh, Detective? I guess they want to make sure we get every cred's worth. Oh, how altruistic of them. So, what do you think of Players Park? Does it live up to the name? Sorry, hit send early. Well, it certainly has been entertaining, to say the least. Though, I don't think it'd be quite as enjoyable without you here. Oh, that's very nice of you to say, Perseus. I only speak the truth, Detective. I do have a duty as a private eye to uphold the law. In this dark space, with our bodies so close, I could feel my face growing more and more red, so I turned away from him, pretending to be incredibly intrigued by a picture of two doves as we floated past. Come on now, Detective Steele, look at me. Can this dark corridor be that fascinating? He was toying with me, I just knew it. I turned back to face him with the most stoic expression I could muster. I had 38 years of practice suppressing my emotions, and I'd be damned if I let this man ruin that after only 2 dates. I couldn't possibly know what you mean. I'm almost offended, Detective Steele. Your eyes are focused anywhere but here, while I couldn't be more focused on you. You're almost certainly the most interesting thing in this room to me. Not like I have much to contend with. On the contrary, I find dark tunnels with horribly fake scenery most exhilarating. I was very aware of how close his hand was to mine. I couldn't tell you who moved first, but one moment we weren't holding hands, and the next we were. It didn't last long, though, as, oh, look, the light at the end of the tunnel, and I thought this ride would never end. Perseus leapt out of the gondola and turned an outstretched hand to me. So, was that as calming as you had hoped? Uh, yeah, it was certainly better than I expected. I see. I knew you'd enjoy this place. I guess you're right. What an eventful day, wouldn't you say, Detective Steele? Eventful in an exhausting way, sure. Come now, I know you had a good time. You're right, actually. I really did. I should definitely get back, though. I pushed off working on a case for this. I'm shocked. A private investigator's work waits for no one. Thanks again, Shaw. I really did have a great time hanging out with you today. Any time, Detective. Text me soon, all right? Trust me, I will. I always thought those dating apps were scams. Well, to be fair, I didn't know they existed until a few days ago, but still, were they actually successful, or did I just get lucky? I'd have to think about it a bit more, preferably on another date with him. Great job, I am. Thank you. I am going to finish this damn Perseus Shaw storyline, and I'm going to like it. What was it? That is true. Skip. Yes. On the left. The big ol' eye. Oh, good choice, boss. That big ol' eye is just so full of love. Oh, and look at that one. She moved her attention from the small slivers to her large. Oh, do. What are you talking about? Of course we have a dog. Really now. Which dog is yours? That one. Rita pointed to a medium-sized blue-striped dog that was clearly on a leash held by another person. Without saying a word, Rita stood up and stormed off towards the exit, and I followed, but not before flipping the guard a rude hand gesture. Sorry about that, Rita. Oh, don't worry about it, boss. Wasn't your fault anyway. Now let's find some place for lunch. I really should have been looking into one of the cases Rita had for me, but I couldn't seem to focus on anything for longer than a minute. This week had been too weird. There was something big going on. I could feel it. A client of mine recommended me an interesting little restaurant when I wrapped up my last case. Join me for dinner? Perseus Shaw. Wasn't that the question of the hour? Did I trust Detective Shaw? His story was flimsy at best, but I couldn't deny he had a certain charisma. Maybe having dinner with him would give me a chance to get some answers. Or maybe it would end with a knife in my back. The decision was taken out of my hands moments later when my comms went off. A glance at the caller ID confirmed this wasn't the sort of call that would get less pressing the more I put it off, so I answered. Jay, buddy... Oh, what was his name? Jay, buddy, I need your help. What did you do? Nothing, I swear. Mostly. Mick, it wasn't my fault, honest. I got mugged. Mick, you live in Old Town. Why is this news? It wouldn't be, only they took something really important, and I need it back quick, or I'm gonna be out another job. And I really like this one. It's easy and safe, and... Which is why you got mugged doing it? Fine, I'll bite. What did they take? I can't tell you over comms. It's really important this time. Alright, fine. Send me the address of wherever you're at, and I'll be there as soon as I can. Aw, thanks, Jay. You're a real friend. The address Mick sent me was for a convenience store in Old Town, Phobos Express. That is Fear Express. Okay? The chain was one of the more popular ones in Old Town since, in addition to the regular snack bags and sodas, they stocked canned food and microwave dinners, important staples in a place too poor for most grocery stores to bother setting up shop. I was halfway through the door before I remembered the text from Shaw. Can't tonight. I have a case. Sounds exciting. What is it this time? A murder? A scandal? A heist, perhaps? A mugging. How thrilling! I don't suppose you'd require any assistance in your endeavor? Or company? I still had my doubts about Shaw, but as much as I hated to admit it, I didn't actually mind his company. He was hiding something, sure, but he certainly wasn't boring. You know what? Why not? Phobos Express, Old Town. Meet me there. Jay, you made it! Ah, Detective Steele. Your friend Mr. Mercury is a delightful conversationalist. Your friend is really nice, JJ, and super smart, too. He was just explaining how he knew I lived in Old Town. Was it because you're in Old Town, doing a job in Old Town? Yeah, how'd you know? Lucky guess. Now, what's so important that you couldn't tell me over comms? Mick looked real worried for a second, more worried than I'd seen him since he broke Sasha's stun baton when he first got into Dark Matters. Maybe it really was important. He leaned in and whispered, Carrots. Shaw and I gave him a second to elaborate. He didn't. Carrots. Yeah, real organic, grown in the dirt carrots. That made a bit more sense. Any non-sim foods had to be shipped in from more terraformed planets since Mars was such an arid wasteland. For most of Mars, anything not grown in a lab or processed to hell and back was a special occasion treat. Still, it wasn't generally something worth stealing. I see. So you had these carrots, yes? Yeah. And you were on a job? Yeah? And they were stolen while you were doing this job? Yeah. And if you don't get them back, you will lose the job? Yeah. So, by way of logical reasoning, I believe I can safely deduce that you were employed to deliver carrots, possibly to this exact location. Whoa, that's amazing! Slow down there, Shaw. Keep going like that and you'll put me out of a job. Detective Shaw, please, detective. Alright, Mick, why don't you tell the rest of the class what exactly happened? There's a class? Did you become a teacher without telling me, Jay? Did I miss your teacher graduation? Just tell us what happened, Mercury. Right, so I got this new job, delivering stuff. I pick the boxes up from this guy's house and I take them places like stores and parking lots and sometimes other people's houses, and normally they don't tell me what's in them even when I ask. But I looked in this one and it was carrots, which is nice, because you normally don't get real food in Old Town at all since there's not a lot of grocery stores, and the convenience stores just have canned stuff and these little frozen pizza rolls. Maybe they were looking to branch out a little. So anyway, I get to the store, I get off my bike, and this big guy, maybe 10 to 11 feet, comes charging at me from Phobos and grabs the box right from my hands. I didn't even get a good look at him before he ran off through the pawn shop across the street. You can get it back, right, JJ? I'll see what I can do. Well, detective, what can you do? If I messed up the... Oh, my! Here to Demos Pond tomorrow looked like a bull had charged through it. The glass in the door was shattered, possibly from the force of hitting the wall rather than a previous burglary, judging by the shards glittering in the carpet. The heavy shelves leading from the front to the back door were shoved off center, knocking their contents to the ground. The back door hadn't fared much better than the front. It was hanging off its hinges, giving us a good view of the alley behind it. Well, detective, this is your case. How do you suggest we proceed? How should we do this? Why don't you take the first crack at it? I'd hate to miss the opportunity to watch a master at work. Very well. Our first clue is that whoever we're looking for is familiar with this area, perhaps possibly this shop specifically. What makes you say that? Look at how certain their path is through the store. They had to have been in a rush to have left this much of a mess, but they knew exactly where they were headed, or the whole shop would be destroyed, not just the path from the front to the back. That makes a lot of sense, actually. I'm more than just a pretty face, detective. Why is he southern now? See anything interesting with the shelves? There's this fascinating 20th century music player on the top shelf. It looks like a bit fell off when our thief ran into the shelf, but oh heavens! What? This carpet's disgusting. There's cake crumbs ground into it, and it stinks to high heaven. They really should look into getting it cleaned. I swear it was squelching. I don't know where his voice has gone. It's getting away from me. There's a reason most places in Old Town have plastic floors. As I deduced from putting my foot straight in that, dear God. Carpet aside, there's got to be something here that'll tell us where they went. There's nothing in the alley, but I think there's something caught on the door. Is that fur? It sure is. You aren't claustrophobic, are you? They're going to go in the sewers! Yeah! Given that you recognize the signs of rabbits, and that you knew exactly where to go, and yes, I have dealt with rabbits before. I see. You grew up here, correct? Want you to deduce that too? Mr. Mercury told me, actually. Oh. I could have deduced it. Sure you could have. Mr. Mercury had some rather fascinating tales about you, you know. I'm sure he did. Care to regale me with one of them? To fact-check, if nothing else. It's always useful to have a thorough understanding of the people around you in our line of work, don't you find? Tell him a story. Couldn't hurt, I guess. Did Mick tell you about Mr. Birchman's car? He did not. Mr. Birchman was our third-grade teacher. Real piece of work. Gave a girl lunch detention for sneezing. So one day, me, Mick, and our friend Sasha get in our heads to get a little revenge. No. Yes. The three of us spend the weekend in the abandoned factories on the outskirts of town, looking for something to really mess up this guy's day. And what we find is a container of industrial acid. Seems safe. The safest, which is why we ditched school the Monday after and used it to burn our names on the hood of his car, and the engine, and the parking lot underneath. It was a really strong acid. Your names? It was not the best decision we ever made. What about you? You got any fun tidbits stored in those pockets? Oh, nothing as exciting as your own, I'm sure. Oh, come on, detective, I'm sure that's not true. That was not his voice. Well, if you must know, when I was a child, I witnessed the heist of a century. A 23rd century relic of New China, a teacup, was on loan to the Yamen Museum of Intergalactic History. I snuck in through the kitchen entrance when an employee went to take out the trash, just to see if I could, and I saw more than that. The moment I entered the display room, the building went dark. All the power to the building cut. No lights, no security. Total blackout. I only know what happened because the thief stepped on me mid-exit. Stepped on you? And in heels, too. She pressed a note into my hand as she went. I think it was meant to be an apology. She could have just as easily dropped it or left it in the display case. What did it say? Proof that we can. Buddy and Vespa. By the time everything was back online, they were gone. One of the most daring heists in history, and I saw it happen. No exciting stories, huh? In retrospect, there was a certain degree of drama to it, I'll admit. Judging by how confident you are in our current path, it stands to reason you've spent some time down here. More than I'd like. Surely it hasn't been all bad. This isn't precisely how I choose to spend an afternoon, but I must admit the company more than makes up for it. I guess you're right. Came down here a lot as a kid. It's about as clean as the rest of Old Town, and rabbits are nice enough if you know how to handle them. Good an escape as any. Silver linings, I suppose. Come on, Shaw, you're a PI. You can't tell me you've never been in a sewer. I've been plenty of places, Detective, but the cases I work tend to find me elsewhere. Where do they tend to find you? Marvelous places, Detective. Perhaps one day you could see them for yourself. Wait, do you hear that? Heavy footsteps and echoey breathing? Yes, I think I do. Am I correct in deducing that we found the rabbit? Oh, it's Small Fry. Oh, good heavens! That art of Small Fry is really good. Hey there, little guy. I hear you've recently come into some interesting commodities. Grrr. I do hope you have a plan, Detective. Listen, buddy, you're only hurting yourself here. This delivery was a test run to see if they could make carrots at the convenience store a regular thing. If that cargo doesn't make it to the store intact, they're not going to risk another shipment. Huh. One box now or lots in the future. Your call. Huh. Pleasure doing business with you, little guy. You too, buddy. Well, that certainly was an adventure. It was something, all right. Listen, Shaw? Detective Shaw, please, Detective. About that... Guys! Hey, Mick. Mr. Mercury, you will no doubt be pleased to hear we've successfully solved the case of your missing package. Really? That's great. Thanks, guys. You've really helped me out. Yeah, well, trying to hold on to your stuff next time. Whatever you say, Jay. Listen, I've got to get this back to the store, but I've got a great idea for a way I could pay you back. Is it a partnership in one of your startups? How'd you know? Deductive reasoning, I believe, Mr. Mercury. Goodbye, Mick. Oh, see ya, guys. Farewell, Mr. Mercury. All that and the sun's barely setting. It seems we have time for dinner after all, if you still have the appetite for it, that is. Absolutely. I don't have any other plans. Wonderful. Venus aside, I had a lovely oops. Venue aside, I had a lovely time, Detective. Perhaps we could make a habit of it. It? Question mark? We'll see. Good morning, Detective. Shaw, I didn't hear you come in. Your secretary let me in. I hope you don't mind. It's fine. Good, because I have a favor to ask you. The light through the blinds cast stripes like a prison jumpsuit across Shaw's face as he leaned over my desk, spreading printouts of articles, column exchanges, maps, and handwritten notes all across its faux wood surface. The shadows flickered as the occasional car passed by, there and gone again, but I was more focused on the way his fox teeth worried at his lip. If I didn't know better, I'd say he looked nervous. Maybe I'd say it anyway. He slid a photo, a candid shot of an older woman, across the desk. It looked like maybe it had been taken through a doorway, or maybe a window. Blair Rockridge, Olympus Mons trillionaire and curator of curiosities. She travels frequently, and as such has acquired oddities and articles from all over the galaxy, from Kesh to Quire. Her main interests, however, lie closer to home. Up until recently, she boasted a robust collection of ancient Martian artifacts. So what happened? They were stolen. To hear her tell it, some ne'er-do-well waltzed in, pocketed everything, and waltzed back out again before anyone could think to stop him. A misstep as embarrassing as that requires a scapegoat. And she's chosen me. This is a letter I received from her last night. She's given me 24 hours to return her missing treasures before she takes her no doubt fabricated evidence public. And I don't think I need to tell you why public scandal would be disadvantage for someone of our profession, which is where I come in. I've dealt with similar threats before, of course, but even I cannot do a two-man job alone. I take it you've got a plan, then. The beginning is one, at least, although I'm open to suggestions. You know, this Perseus Shaw get-up's grown on me. I think the green hair's all right. The green hair's all right. I'm gonna be honest. Ooh, I'm not sure. Let's use his plan. Let's hear yours first. I can manage constructive criticism if it comes to that. Very well. The plan is simple. We rescue Madame Rockridge from her frying pan predicament by way of an escort into fire. Explain. First, we pay a visit to an acquaintance of yours. One Val is Vicky. Anything that she has that's too hot to sell, we take off her hands. With a flick of his wrist, Shaw pulled a map from the bottom of the pile, quick enough that the rest of the papers barely twitched. He laid the map down on the rest of it and smoothed it out with brisk efficiency. These are the blueprints for Madame Rockridge's estate. Camera replacement, guard rotations, alarm systems, all of it as of 3 weeks ago. What it doesn't have is all the changes she has undoubtedly made since the theft occurred. Your task, my dear detective, will be to charm your way inside and make a note of everything that's changed. Me? But she's looking for me, detective. She doesn't know how to watch for you. Later tonight, we break in, leave the goods, and call the cops. They find the stolen art, arrest Rockridge, and she ceases to pose a threat. Wait. You want me to help you pull off a heist? Shaw, that's illegal. So is blackmail, my dear detective. Think of it as leveling the playing field. I'm afraid you'll have to speak to Miss Vicky alone. Time runs short, and there are other preparations to be made. Any chance of you telling me what those preparations are? Vital and dull in equal measure, detective. I'll rejoin you when you're done. Shaw vanished between one blink and the next, leaving me adrift and alone. But not too alone. At least not for long. Your boyfriend's in a hurry. Interesting company you're keeping lately, Steele. How many dates can one lady squeeze into a week before you bite the bullet and forge the marriage certificate? Good to see you Good to see you still know more about me than you should. You running out of intimidation tactics, Vicky, or are you just going soft on me? I can't look out for an old business partner. I've heard there's a first time for everything, but I tend to lean towards one bitten, twice shy. Safer that way. Safer, right. Which is why you came here with that guy. I couldn't possibly know what you mean. You're deflecting. My therapist calls it a maladaptive coping mechanism, but personally I don't see it. I've got a proposal. I'd have to run it by the wife. Hilarious. I want you to do a favor. I know you try to deal in untraceable junk, but mistakes happen. Anything you've got on hand that's too hot for you to get rid of, I'm prepared to take off your hands. How generous. Anything for a tax write-off? I'll tell you what, I've got some problem pieces I could stand to let go of, but when whatever you're caught up in wraps itself up, you come back here and give me every detail. I want to know how many breaths you took and when, and you don't get to swing it like I owe you a favor. You got me, Steele? And that's it. Call it professional courtesy. It's a weird condition, but not impossible. Last favor I asked Vicky cost me 10 years of my life and a lifelong banging from Venus, and with the clock ticking down, I can't afford to haggle. Well, between Shaw's nervousness and how out of character it was for Vicky to not know anything about the case already, something about it rubbed me the wrong way. Sounds reasonable? I'm glad you agree. The stuff will be delivered to your place midnight tonight. Remember, Steele, you owe me. Vicky left, and I was adrift again. There were no clocks in the valley, anything to get you to lose track of time while they charge you by the hour, so there was no real way of telling how long it took for Shaw to finish with whatever he was doing. When he did show up, he was grinning like a fox in a henhouse. Detective! It went well, I presume. Vicky had a few things she needed gone. Vixen's bring him over later tonight. Excellent. We should go. There's still much to do before the day is done. You know how I said I might have some constructive criticism? Shaw hummed noncommittally, not looking up from his self-appointed task of straightening my collar and tucking forged IDs and business cards into the inside pocket of my jacket. I have some constructive criticism. I know, we should have found you a new coat, but proper costuming is more difficult to come by when pressed for time. I mean it, Shaw. I don't know if I can do this. You'll do fine. Remember, for the next 20 minutes, you aren't Juno Steele. You're Philip Marlowe from RAWM Insurance. Your job is to examine the security. There's nothing unscrupulous about it. You make it sound so easy. It's practice, that's all, and I'll be right here if you need me, behind the... whatever it is, the topiary. I think it's supposed to be a horse. But it tapers... Never mind. Good luck, Marlowe. Perseus ducked out of sight, and I approached the door. I was a bit reluctant to ring the bell. Perseus ducked out of sight, and I approached the door. I was a bit reluctant to ring the bell. Everything from the maybe horse-shaped topiaries to the custom mailbox with the owner's name inlaid with gold made it clear this wasn't the sort of place a washed-up PI in a dusty trench coat should show up uninvited. Lucky for the next 20 minutes, I'm not a washed-up PI. The doorbell was 15 notes and an old jazz number when my Ah, 15 notes into an old jazz number when an older woman whose necklace alone had to be worth my rent 3 times over answered the door. Yes. Madam Rockridge? The one and only. And you are? Philip Marlowe, RAWM Insurance. Look like you filed a claim recently regarding some Martian artifacts. That's not Juno's voice. That's a voice Juno's putting on it, just to be clear. Oh, yes, that. I already spoke to a representative on the comms. That's what I'm following up on. Standard procedure, just need to go over any details that might have been missed. Mind if I take a look around? Of course. The inside of the house was as ostentatious as the front garden, with the added bonus of a central heating system and a few hundred unseen humidifiers to combat the bite of Mars's cold desert air. The library no doubt used to be the same before someone walked out with everything not nailed down, and, strangely, one singular curtain. This is where it happened? It is. I received a letter threatening my collection, so naturally I called a private investigator to look into things. Nothing seemed unusual until he walked out with my entire collection in his bag and left me bereft. Bereft! I see. I assume you've taken steps to prevent the same trick? Of course, I'm not about to fall for the same trick twice. By the time I was done with the inspection, she'd given me guard rotations, patrol routes, names and addresses of all staff, the location of all cameras, laser alarms, heat sensors, dog kennels, and the make and model of every alarm and lock in the house. I almost felt bad for her refusing her offer of coffee in favor of getting the hell out of there. How'd it go? The dogs in Kennel 3 have never been able to resist a milk bone. I didn't even ask about Kennel 3. I knew you could do it. Now tell me everything on the way back. We have plans to make. Plans were made and remade and rehearsed and revised well into the night. There was no such thing as a minor error and no room for improvisation. Shaw, stop. It's fine. If we change anything else, there won't be time to memorize it. We've got 30 minutes before we have to be on our way to Blair's. But the cameras, it's not the end of the world if they catch the backs of our heads. It's fine. You're right. All the nervous energy left him all at once, a mask slipping that I hadn't noticed was there. He sank into my couch, the only surface in the apartment not covered in maps and diagrams. Yeah, you should join him. I sat down next to him, close enough that his cologne might have rubbed off on me by the time I got up. He sighed. Are you okay? I will be, once this is over. Sounds like you're speaking from experience. Surely even you have encountered a stressful case. The thing about a case is there's always a mystery to solve, and from where I'm standing, the only mystery is you. Is Blair telling the truth about you stealing her collection? Why did Vicky recognize you? If you're so confident I'm dangerous, why are you still helping me? Don't make me say it. 2:30. If we delay much longer, we'll miss our window. Are you kidding me? You're not going to tell me anything. There's not an answer you'd find satisfying that I can give you in the time frame we have. Later, detective. This is going to be the most awkward car ride of my life. I hope you know that. Between Blair's intel and Perseus's rehearsals, getting in was simple. Shaw, twitchier than I'd ever seen him, went to check the hall for guards the moment we entered the library, leaving me to unpack paintings, sculptures, and miscellaneous garbage that apparently counted as art as if it was made by someone rich enough. I was nearly halfway done when everything went wrong. Every light in the room flipped on, a blinding light to match the alarm's blare. Shaw, we have to... Shaw? He was gone. I didn't have time to process the betrayal before. You! I can explain? I suppose you're an private... Oh, what was her voice? I suppose you're a private investigator, too? What? It doesn't matter. The cops are on their way. They'll arrest you and your partner, and I'll finally get my collection back. That must be them now. What seems to be the problem, ma'am? What? Shaw was flanked by 2 officers, 3 security guards, and 5 dogs gnawing on milk bones. Everyone looked confused except Shaw, who looked far too pleased with himself. What? What? Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Zeus Galley, Bureau of Investigations, and you, Miss Rockridge, are under arrest. For what? Fraud. Where's your evidence? I'm glad you asked. If you'd all follow me. Shaw led us through the maze of hallways and staircases to Blair's office. Oh, there's Kirby. There's so much stupid references here. Love it. To Blair's office. He touched the handle 3 times before opening it. Maybe a nervous tick, maybe a signal. I had no way of knowing. The door swung open, and inside, my collection! A collection reported stolen some weeks ago. It was insured for quite a lot, as I recall. A sum of money already spent on, let's see, a private ship equipped with a pool, an onboard casino, and a bowling alley. But you stole it! I demand your identification! And a warrant! Miss Rockridge, you called me, by way of emergency services. But identification you can have, see for yourself. But if you'd be so kind as to take care of Miss Rockridge, officers, I'll deal with the intruder. Come along, sir. Shaw took me by the arm and led me back outside. I didn't think to resist until we were out the door. Then I dug in my heels. What the hell was that? A successful heist, detective. Although it stands to reason you're more familiar with the opposite outcome. That wasn't the plan. On the contrary, my dear detective, that was the plan all along. There was no guarantee the authorities would assume the stolen pieces were hers, with no record of their acquisition, and I needed a distraction to plant the replica artifacts. You set me up. I could have been arrested. Juno, I would never let that happen. Oh, yeah? Then why didn't you tell me this was the plan? No. You know what? I don't want to hear it. I'm going home. At least let me drive you back. Okay. If it was a real situation, no. But it's not, so yes. Fine. Drive me back. What do I care? I didn't actually make it home that night. Between the maps and the lingering scent of his cologne, there's too much of Shaw for me to deal with. I slept in the office instead. I didn't go back until late the next night. Can't remember the last time I was this tired. Hello, Juno. It's been a while. Duh! Jesus, Shaw, warn a lady. How'd you even get in here? Very carefully. I wanted to thank you for what you've done for me these past few days. If things with Madame Rockridge went differently, well, it could very well have cost me my life. Yeah. I owe you, Juno. I'd like to make it up to you. Shaw, wait. Yes, Juno. I have some questions. I've had them for a while now, and before whatever this is goes any further, I need them answered. I see. Who are you? I'm afraid that's the one question I cannot answer. At least not tonight. But later, Juno. I promise. But not tonight. Fine, just don't go just yet. As you wish. I couldn't remember the last time someone looked at me the way Shaw was looking at me then. Maybe no one ever had. All the adoration and desire, and underneath it was a soul-deep sadness. He was scared. He didn't look it, maybe even didn't realize it himself, but I could tell from that look that whatever secrets he'd been keeping were the sort that drove people away. And he was going to tell me anyway. After tonight, everything would be different. Tomorrow, I promise. Putting myself in harm's way. A wave of nausea rises in my throat and everything comes back at once. Juno, are you there? I've done this bit before. No, I need you to tell me what's happening, and don't you dare bullshit me. Okay. Blair Rockridge in particular was unexpected difficulty, but we're lucky that your friend in the HCPD could step in and help out. But I never expected you to capture me. Even now, the breast hitches in my chest. What does happen if you don't? I came to Mars with goals in mind, killing several birds with one stone, I suppose, but I got distracted. You were just perfect team. Couldn't resist. I had to see you again. I had to work with you again. All this time. Juno, please, not everything was lying. Oh, spare me. With the moony eyes and the dates, and every time you told me something about yourself, every time I looked at you and saw Duke or Perseus or whoever was a lie. You don't understand, Juno. Oh, I understand plenty. Listen, Juno, please. For once, stop letting your pride get in the way of what you want. And you think I want you? After all this, I don't even know who you are. A chill runs down my spine, and my big, dumb mouth snaps shut. He's breathing heavily. I've been in enough screaming matches to recognize the adrenaline, but his next words are so quiet, I almost think I dreamed them. You could know me. It seems your decision has already been made, Juno. I've sacrificed a lot for you, but you never asked me to do any of that, because I thought what we had was worth it. I think about the game shows and dancing, the dome-tinted twilights and starry evenings, all the ways we've been kidnapped and attacked, the pounding hearts and lingering glances, and every second of it so electric. The trouble we got into, and how he had my back through every moment of it. Maybe it was. He puts his hand over his eyes, hiding with a shaky breath. He looks relieved and unsteady with the weight of all of this. And I get it, because it's like gravity, the way he pulls me in. It really was. I know I've already had more chances in the last week than most ever get, but you know what I'd do for you. And if you ask me to stay, if you want to get to know the real me, that's what I'll do. I I swear I want to. Juno. I just can't. No! Because it doesn't matter what I want, because it doesn't matter what I want, because we don't know each other, not really. I just know whichever mask you put on, and if you knew me, you know I can't just drop everything I have on Mars and run away with someone. If you really knew me, you wouldn't want me. You don't know that. You might not know me, but I know you, Juno. You're incredible. I just want the chance to show you what you mean to me. There's a pain in the lines of his face, and I just can't look at him anymore. With everything that's happened to me, everything I've lost, I need to hold on to something real. I don't know when it happened, but there are tears on my face. I reach almost absently to scrub them away, and his hand meets mine there. I'm sorry. It's okay, Juno. I understand. He kisses me on my temple, staying there for so long it feels like it's forever. Or maybe it's just a moment, and I'm a fool for holding on to it. Then I watch him as he walks away. He glances back just once, and there's a ghost of a sad smile on his lips. I didn't mean to get this ending. And then he's gone. I didn't mean to get it. So I'm recording a little outro here because I didn't really record one. Okay, so I recorded this like months ago, like when the other videos came out, and I just hadn't gotten around to editing it yet, which I feel a little bad about, but here it is. Here's all the footage that I have on my computer. Maybe I'll go and try to like 100% it or something, because there's still so much stuff I haven't gotten to yet, and that's incredible because I don't know, I've played like, what, 6 hours? So much work and passion went into this game, and like this was a fan game too, so it wasn't for profit or anything, it was just fans of the game wanting to share something amazing with other people, and I think that's incredible. The art was amazing. Sorry if any of my jokes upset anyone. I didn't realize that people who worked on it were gonna watch it, otherwise I, would have been less jokingly rude. Yeah, it was fantastic. The art is amazing. The writing was amazing. You guys are amazing, either for watching the video or if you made it, then you're double amazing. Um, yeah, thank you guys for watching. I felt like this part should come out, sometime this century. So thanks a lot. Sorry for the delay. You guys are great. Keep on being great.